Hello there, very warm welcome to all of you to the news tonight. I'm Tracy Shilshi, also counting down the hours to that crucial India versus Australia match tomorrow. But tonight, let's catch up with the top stories of the day, starting with the headlines. Government reaches out to the opposition on the land bill. Parliamentary Affairs Minister Venkaiah Naidu says it's ready to accommodate changes. Former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh moves Supreme Court, seeks the quashing of special court summons to him in the coal scam case. Mystery surrounds the death of Madhya Pradesh governor's son in Lucknow. He was one of the accused in the state teachers' recruitment scam case. Black box of the ill-fated Germanwings Airbus A320 found in the French Alps. Rescuers say there's no hope of any survivors among the 150 on board. And it is a battle royale ahead of the big World Cup final. Indian fans across the world pray for an Indian victory over Australia in the semi-final tomorrow. And that is our special focus tonight. In the second semi-final of the Cricket World Cup, co-host Australia will be taking on defending champions India at their home turf in Sydney tomorrow. The last time the two met in a knockout stage was at Ahmedabad in the 2011 World Cup, where the Indians beat the Aussies by 5 wickets.
Good shot. Plays that shot well.
On tour down under since last November, MS Dhoni-led India failed to register a single win in a competitive game. The World Cup changed that all. The men in blue seem to have found the right mix after their 7-match winning streak in the ongoing tournament. Team India is clearly reaping benefits of the time spent in enemy territory. The batsmen know the length and bounce on the Australian wickets, while the bowlers also seem to have found the perfect rhythm to bamboozle the opposition. Only two teams have retained the World Cup title ever, West Indies in 1979 and Australia in 2003 and 2007. And if things go according to plan, history could be repeated at the cost of Australia.
You know, we're playing some different cricket now. So what has happened, we have left right there. We never wanted to carry into the World Cup. We always spoke about this. We know how important the World Cup is, and we have actually come out and played really well and played some good cricket. So we just want to continue, just a matter of 2 more hurdles.
Playing India in Sydney is about the stiffest challenge Australia could have been given as they seek to join New Zealand in the final. The match will be played on a pitch that should turn and grip, so India will give Australia a tougher examination that New Zealand or South Africa would have done at this stage. The Michael Clarke brigade relies heavily on their aggressive approach toward the game and knows the condition better than any opposition. The team has thrived on his pace attack led by Mitchell Starc and Mitchell Johnson, with adequate support from seeming all-rounders Shane Watson and James Faulkner. Part-time spinner Glenn Maxwell has also chipped in for Australia, who have left out their premier spinner Xavier Doherty after he went wicketless against Sri Lanka in the only game he has played in the tournament so far.
I think already you've seen the guys handle it really well throughout the tournament. The way the boys played in the quarter-final against Pakistan was extremely pleasing. Expectations there because we're the #1 ranked one-day team in the world. The reason you have expectation on you is because you've performed.
Will it be Australia marching on to make it an all-host finals, or India finally register their long-awaited win against Clarke's men? No matter who wins tomorrow, the clash is expected to be an absolute cracker of a game and worthy prelude to the highly anticipated World Cup final on Sunday. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
So let's set up that match. Jaideep Ghosh, senior sports journalist, in fact, joining us this evening in studio. Jaideep, we were just talking about the hype around the country, both the countries. In fact, we do know that the fans can be quite merciless. But, just talking about the stats and talent, leaving that aside, it's also going to be quite a game of temperament as it has been in past.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I think much of it will be played in the brain because, it's a knockout match and every mistake can cost you the title. I mean, it's just one slip, like what happened with South Africa. Couple of mistakes and they were out. So this is not the league. This is not where you can make a couple of mistakes and then recover. This is it. This is, I think, virtually the final for both the teams. We tend to take the final against New Zealand a little light at the moment, but right now this is it. I mean, whoever comes up stronger tomorrow is going to be odds-on favorites to win the title. But yeah, it's mostly a brain game. But then again, you cannot freeze there. You have to go and do your thing.
All right, and talking about the match, how crucial is the toss going to be?
Yeah, the toss will be crucial because see, it's very simple. If you win the toss, you bat first, and you put up, say, even 280, 290, 300 runs. Then in a knockout situation, that can be a tremendous amount of pressure on the people who are batting second, because you make one mistake, you lose a couple of early wickets, or you don't get the runs quickly enough. The pressure mounts automatically quickly, because 6 runs and over is handleable, manageable. If it becomes 7, 8, 9, then obviously the pressure keeps going up. And yeah, the toss is going to be very vital. I am sure whoever wins the toss will definitely go and try to bat and put the score on the board, and then take on the opposition from there.
All right. How, we do know that the batsman, of course, performing well. We don't have to say Rohit Sharma how he's playing.
Right.
But then, also about the bowling attack, we do know that Brett Lee, the former Australian player, also saying that this is perhaps, the best bowling lineup that we probably have in the World Cup.
Well, I'm sure Clark would not be agreeing with Brett Lee regarding the bowling lineup. But yeah, it's been a good lineup. I mean, it was, see, when we started the World Cup, the biggest problem was the bowling, and people were sure that this team would struggle because the bowlers were not being able to deliver. But as far as the World Cup goes, 7 matches, 70 wickets, I don't think you can ask for anything beyond that. I mean, there is no 71st wicket to get in 7 matches. So they have done as good as it's going to get. I think a couple of bowlers will be a little more vital than the rest. But overall, I think the bowling has delivered, and I don't see any reason why it shouldn't tomorrow also.
All right. Just as South Africa had that choker tag really weighing on them, we wouldn't say they choked the other day. I mean, it was just a bad day. They did play well. But then, the fact that, India, of course, didn't have a good, just previously didn't have a proper Australia tour. In fact, it was winless. Will that weigh heavy on the Indian team?
I don't think so, because that's been quite a while now, and so much has changed after that. So many things have happened. The team has practically done everything right. There were a couple of minor challenges, but there's been nothing really to show them out as a weak team mentally or on the ground. So I guess, yeah, a little bit of pressure is always there, and you're playing Australia at home, irrespective of how many thousand Indians are going to, throng the stadium.
Yes.
Still going to be in Australia. It's their ground. They know the ground better than we do.
Yeah.
But I guess given the fact that we practically spent a quarter of a year in that country already, I don't think that should make so much of a difference.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't think they'll think about it definitely, but I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference.
All right. All right. Some key players to watch out for very quickly, Jaideep. On India's side, at least.
Well, the Indian side, I think it's very vital that we get a good opening partnership in terms of batting, because if we are batting first, obviously you need to have Rohit Sharma and Shikhar Dhawan starting off. Virat Kohli is due a big one, because he has not been too successful. I mean, given the kind of standard that we have set for him, he's been just a little below that. I think within the top 4, if the top 4 click, then I think the rest of the batting will look after itself. And the bowling, I think Ashwin is going to be a crucial bowler, because Sydney, of all the pitches, although these drop-down pitches are not really that square turner that people are trying to make them out to be. But yeah, he'll get a little bit of grip, and how he bowls his 10 overs, I think for India at least will make a lot of difference.
All right, Jaideep. Hopefully we'll be speaking tomorrow again on India's victory, of course.
Right.
Thanks so much for joining us, of course, this evening, and all the best to the Indian team. They're doing everything right, so let's hope everything works out well for them. All right, with that, of course, we'll take a quick break here. Be back with the national news in a bit. Stay with us.
राज्य सभा टीवी की कोशिश, बात इंसानियत की, जो आज भी वेश्यावृत्ति के चंगुल से नहीं निकल पा रहे हैं। घंटों की मेहनत और मुआवजे के नाम पर चंद रुपए। कहानी जंगल के रखवालों की।
सोलिगा वैसे तो कई देवी देवताओं को पूजते हैं, लेकिन इनके मुख्य कुल देवता महादेश्वर हैं।
सफर लहरों की सौदागरों के साथ।
अब मछली पकड़ना घाटे का सौदा बनता जा रहा है।
देखिए स्पेशल रिपोर्ट सिर्फ राज्यसभा टीवी पर।
Welcome back to the news tonight. Let's get you some national news now. And the NDA government says it is willing to make compromises on amendments that the opposition is seeking on the land acquisition bill. Stating this in Delhi, Parliamentary Affairs and Urban Development Minister M. Venkaiah Naidu insisted that important legislations should not be used for political gains. He also said that the ordinance issued by the government with regard to fair compensation and rehabilitation for farmers is in the larger interest of the country.
The present ordinance which is approved by the Lok Sabha, which has been transferred to Rajya Sabha, yet to be discussed and decided by Rajya Sabha. If at all, if it lapses, because some people are carrying stories, then those 13 acquisition made under those 13 acts, the farmers will not get reasonable compensation. That is the implication. One has to understand that. And moreover, and the state have the liberty and power to implement the new bill or the old bill. हम बता रहे विपक्ष को कोई अच्छा सुझाव है और भी सुधारने के लिए है तो आप दीजिए और बिल को साथ दीजिए, इसको पारित करने में मदद करिए और किसानों के हित में हम मिलकर काम करें, ये हमारा विनती है विपक्ष से.
Meanwhile, the government has also decided to support DISCOMs through a transparent reverse of the e-bidding process. The Union Cabinet in a meeting today also approved the launch of the National Supercomputing Mission. In a bid to revive the utilization of stranded gas-based power generation, Power Minister Piyush Goyal announced a major policy intervention to revive the stranded gas-based plants in the country. The CCEA on Wednesday also approved the proposal to limit GAIL and GSPL to import gas on spot basis and supply it to these power plants. All right, so for more, let's speak to Vishal Dahiya, who's in fact joining us for more on that cabinet meet. Vishal, can you just explain some more in detail for the benefit of our viewers what the government has now decided to do as far as DISCOMs are concerned?
Well, there have been several decisions which have been taken by the cabinet, Tracy, but two of the most important are the ones which you mentioned. One which deals with the power sector. Now, there are 31, gas-based power stations in the country, power plants, which the government says have been stranded. They are non-functional due to shortage of the availability of gas in the country. And to ensure that these power plants are functional and they do get enough power, now the government seems to have taken a decision according to which the GAIL rather, along with GSPC, will be allowed to import gas and provide that gas to these power plants, but that would be done through a reverse bidding process, wherein the owners of these power plants will have to bid for that gas, and whosoever quotes the lowest price for the power units which will be supplied to the common man, that particular power plant will be given preference. There is also a clause which says that the promoters of these power plants will, forego their the return on their own equity. Rather, whatever they earn would go towards payment of bank loans, so that these particular power plants and these projects do not become NPAs at the end of the financial year. In addition to this, the second decision, which relates to the supercomputing mission, will enable setting up of 73 supercomputers across the country. This will come at a cost of 4,000 crore rupees, and the government aims to bring up India's ranking in the supercomputing world stage from the present 74 to somewhere in the single-digit figure, wherein our neighbor China is ranked number 1.
All right, Vishal, anything also that you heard probably on the cabinet discussing anything on the land bill? That's of course a crucial thing that the NDA is looking at, to please the opposition and farmers as well.
Well, yes, you're right. That's the most contentious issue as of now, and most talked about one as well. The cabinet today, we are being told by our sources, is that the cabinet today took an ex post facto decision on the amendments which were brought in by the government when the bill was passed in the Lok Sabha. So clearly, if you look at it that way, there is no forward movement on this issue as far as today's decision is concerned. This was an ex post facto decision, and all the options are still open for the government as far as the land acquisition bill is concerned. Whether or not the government will, re-promulgate the ordinance or not, that is something which is yet to be decided by the cabinet. And as we are being told by several ministers in the government, that there are still a few more days to go before the president present ordinance lapses, and that will take place on 5th of April. So at least a week more for the government to go ahead and take a final decision whether or not to re-promulgate the evidence and prorogue the current session of Parliament, or they might find some other way to try and ensure that their side of the story is also taken care of.
All right, Vishal Daya, thanks so much for joining us from the capital on that piece of information. Meanwhile, former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh moved Supreme Court today, seeking to get the summons against him quashed in a coal block allocation scam case. Singh sought immediate stay on the order, asking him to appear before the trial court on the 8th of April. The petition is likely to be mentioned for an urgent hearing before the court on Thursday. Singh's petition claimed the summoning order was not legal and against the principles of criminal jurisprudence. Apart from challenging the order on technical grounds, he has also said in his petition that there was no instance of alleged criminality that could be attributed to any of his acts as a coal minister. Singh was summoned along with Kumar Mangalam Birla and others in connection with the Hindalco coal allocation case. In other news, Madhya Pradesh Governor Ram Naresh Yadav's son, who was named and accused in the multi-crore Vyapam scam, was found dead earlier today. His body was found under mysterious circumstances at his family home in Lucknow. Initial reports suggest he died of a brain hemorrhage.
At a time when MP Governor Ram Naresh Yadav is battling a critical health condition in Bhopal, his 50-year-old son Shailesh was found dead under mysterious circumstances in Lucknow. His body was found early on Wednesday morning. Initial reports suggest he died due to a brain hemorrhage. Shailesh Yadav was named as an accused in the Madhya Pradesh Professional Examination Board or Vyapam scam. He is alleged to have taken money to ensure admission to 10 candidates who wanted to be contractual teachers. Alleging foul play in his death, Congress leaders have demanded a CBI inquiry.
दुखद निधन है। अभी तक ये नहीं पता लगा कि उस नौजवान ने आत्महत्या की है या एसटीएफ की पूछताछ से टॉर्चर हुआ है, लेकिन मौत संदेहास्पद है। उसकी सीबीआई से जांच होनी ही चाहिए।
इस तरीके से शैलेश के ऊपर व्यापम घोटाले का केस बनाया गया, उसके बाद राज्यपाल को और शैलेश को दोनों को सदमा लगा और मुझे लगता है कि इसके पीछे कुछ न कुछ है, क्योंकि जिस तरीके से उनकी मौत हुई है वो संदिग्ध मौत है।
Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan, along with other BJP leaders, extended condolences to the governor.
हम सब अपनी शोक संवेदना प्रकट करते हैं। भगवान दिवंगत आत्मा को शांति दे और गवर्नर साहब पूरे परिवार को और उनके पूरे परिवार को ये गहन दुख सहन करने की क्षमता दे।
ये बहुत दुखद अवसर है। वे स्वयं स्वास्थ्य की दृष्टि से बड़े कमजोर पलों से गुजर रहे हैं और हमारी पूरी संवेदनाएं उनके साथ हैं।
Governor Ram Naresh Yadav himself is an accused in the case that involves massive irregularities and corruption in the Madhya Pradesh Professional Examination Board. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
The infighting in the Aam Aadmi Party seems far from over. Barely 2 days ahead of the party's scheduled meeting, party's National Advisory Council member Ashok Talwar has now written to Arvind Kejriwal alleging a conspiracy to break up the party.
Internal feud has surfaced in the Aam Aadmi Party once again. On Wednesday, National Council member from Punjab Ashok Talwar warned that vested interests were attempting to destabilize the party. In a letter addressed to party convener Arvind Kejriwal, Talwar said a section of the party was calling a parallel meeting a day before a crucial meeting on the 28th of March.
कुछ लोग हैं उसमें, यदि आपके पास लेटर है तो उस पे कुछ लोग हैं, तो मैंने इशारा किया है उनकी तरफ कि ये लोग कुछ कर रहे हैं, तो मीटिंग कॉल करने की कोशिश की जा रही है। और क्यों एक दिन पहले बुलाने का मकसद क्या है? यदि मीटिंग है तो ऑफिशियली उसी दिन बुलाई जाए, 28 तारीख को। ठीक है, नेशनल काउंसिल 2 दिन की मीटिंग है तो ऑफिशियली उसको कॉल किया जाए, 2 दिन पहले कॉल किया जाए।
Talwar also named a few leaders trying to organize the parallel meet. Senior leader Shanti Bhushan rubbished reports of any such meet, asserting that he would attend the slated meet on the 28th of March.
मुझे लगता है कि जिन लोगों ने चिट्ठी लिखी है और जिस चिट्ठी के बारे में अशोक तलवार जी कह रहे हैं, उनसे इस बारे में पूछा जाना चाहिए कि कौन सी मीटिंग है, क्योंकि मुझे जो जानकारी है पार्टी के तौर पे 28 तारीख को राष्ट्रीय परिषद की मीटिंग है जिसमें सारे लोग इकट्ठा हो रहे हैं। अब उसके पहले कौन सी मीटिंग किस उद्देश्य से बुलाई जा रही है, कौन बुला रहा है, ये आप उनसे पूछें मुझसे।
Talwar's claims come at a time when the two separate warring factions in the party are struggling to maintain peace. All eyes are now on the crucial meeting on Saturday that will be attended by party chief Arvind Kejriwal. Anu Devan's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Rescuers are looking for an Indian Navy surveillance aircraft that crashed last night. 2 officers are missing about 25 nautical miles the southwest coast of Goa, but 1 officer has been rescued. The Navy has ordered a board of inquiry into the crash.
9 ships and aircrafts are searching the Goa coast for a naval aircraft that crashed last night. 2 officers are missing. The captain of the Dornier aircraft is hospitalized in a serious but stable condition. The 2 missing people include a lieutenant-ranked lady officer who was the observer on the Dornier. The Navy has ordered a board of inquiry into the incident.
Last night, one of our naval Dorniers, which had gone on a training mission with 3 air crew, 2 pilots and 1 observer, met with an unfortunate accident. We don't know what happened, but we lost contact at around 10:10, to be precise 10:08, and thereafter search and rescue was launched.
The Dornier aircraft plunged into the sea 25 miles off Goa. Preliminary findings indicate the plane developed some technical problems, after which it plunged into the sea. Navy Chief Admiral R.K. Dhawan has rushed to Goa to take stock of the situation. The accident is latest in a series of disasters to hit the Navy, coming just months after a naval ship sank off Visakhapatnam in Andhra Pradesh, leaving 1 dead and 4 missing. However, this is the first time that a Dornier aircraft crashed. The Navy has only 32 of these. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
The Emir of Qatar, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, is on a 2-day visit to India. He held bilateral meetings with Prime Minister Narendra Modi and signed 6 agreements. Here's more.
Qatar's Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani met Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Delhi on Wednesday. Both leaders held bilateral talks and signed 6 agreements. Apart from transferring sentenced prisoners, India and Qatar signed MOUs for cooperation in information and communication technology, an agreement between the Ministry of Earth Sciences and Qatar Meteorological Department for scientific and technical cooperation, an MOU between Diplomatic Institute of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs Qatar and Foreign Service Institute of the Ministry of External Affairs, cooperation in radio and television, and an agreement for mutual cooperation and exchange of news. The Qatar Emir is accompanied by a high-level delegation of ministers, senior officials and captains of industry.
There were 3 broad areas of economic engagement that we focused on. One was investments into India. He did mention that he trusts the economy of India. The second element was defense sector. Prime Minister outlined his vision of Make in India for defense, and he indicated that we are serious in substituting importing into India through defense production in India. A third was opportunities for Indian companies to work in Qatar.
Earlier, President Pranab Mukherjee received Al Thani, who was accorded a guard of honor at the Rashtrapati Bhavan. Around 6 lakh Indian nationals work in Qatar, which is also the largest source of India's liquefied natural gas imports at 86%. Bilateral trade between the two nations stands at $16 billion, that is heavily weighted in favor of Qatar due to India's LNG imports. Bureau Report for Rajya Sabha Television.
And now let's get you some more news from across the country and nationwide. Independent MLA Abdul Rashid was marshalled out of the Jammu and Kashmir Legislative Assembly. This was after Rashid stormed into the well and protested over the Speaker's decision to drop a resolution that wanted Afzal Guru's mortal remains brought back on humanitarian grounds. A major fire broke out in a multi-story commercial building near the Andheri East railway station in Mumbai. Thick smoke was seen from the building. No one was hurt though. The blaze was later brought under control. A Gandhinagar court has rejected Asaram Bapu's temporary bail on Wednesday. He wanted a 30-day release to perform the last rites of a relative. The court said that there were other family members who could perform the last rituals. 72-year-old Asaram is currently in a jail in Rajasthan since September 2013 for allegedly sexually assaulting a minor girl. The Delhi High Court today sought the response from Law Minister Jitendra Singh Tomar on a BJP leader's plea over alleged wrong declaration of educational qualification in the nomination papers. The court has asked authorities to seal all documents submitted by the minister during the assembly polls. International news and search operations are on in southern French Alps to find out if there are any survivors or the wreckage after the German-wings plane crashed on the foothills on Tuesday. Rescue teams recovered the plane's cockpit voice recorder. The focus now will be to find the second black box, the flight data recorder that is crucial in analyzing the cause behind the crash.
Search teams combed the harsh terrain of Alps mountain in France for the second day, braving harsh weather. Not even a single survivor has been found so far. Aerial footage shows the extent of damage to the plane that went down on Tuesday, smoldering wreckage and a piece of fuselage. However, there is a ray of hope as officials said they have found the cockpit voice recorder. Badly damaged but not beyond use. Now all efforts are on to find the flight's data recorder.
Nous avons déjà récupéré une boîte noire qui sera envoyée au bureau enquête après accident dans les heures qui viennent, de manière à ce que l'enquête puisse avancer rapidement et que toutes les analyses concernant cette boîte noire.
Officials warned that the search operation will take a month or even longer. The French police confirmed that no survivors could be expected among the 144 passengers and 6 crew members on board. Leaders from Germany, France and Spain are due to visit the crash site.
In Greenland, the physical phenomenon is multiplied by 2, by 3. And therefore, the climate change has an enormous effect on what is taking place here.
Noch wissen wir nicht genau, was passiert ist, noch wissen wir nicht genau, was die Absturzursache war, aber wir sind unseren französischen Freunden, allen, die sich bei der Suche.
German-wings officials say the plane started descending a minute after reaching its cruising height and continued losing altitude for 8 minutes. But what nobody knows is why the pilots did not send out any distress signal at that time. Air traffic controllers sent out a distress call after radio contact with the plane was lost. Germanwings has been forced to cancel few flights as crew members refused to fly. Meanwhile, the relatives of the passengers are awaiting some news from France. The Airbus A320 from Barcelona to Dusseldorf crashed on Tuesday with 144 passengers and 6 crew members on board. Officials feel 67 of the 144 passengers were German citizens, including 16 students returning from an exchange trip. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, the crisis in Yemen deepened further today after the embattled president Abid Rabo Mansour Hadi fled his palace in the south of Aden. Fresh reports suggest the Houthi rebels are targeting their grip on the country, closing in on several key provinces in the north. Reportedly supported by Iran, the rebels offered a bounty for President Hadi's capture on Wednesday and arrested his defense minister. Amid the worsening situation, India issued an advisory today asking all nationals to leave Yemen immediately. That's it for the moment on News Tonight, but keep watching Rajya Sabha TV for more news updates.